When I was younger with my brothers. They started playing from a young age, and then I started playing on the boys team because we didn't have a girls team in my town. So I used to play with the boys until I was in like 6th grade, and then they finally made a U15 girls team, and I joined that and I was like 7 years old. Playing for Merrimack has definitely been very interesting. We have had a lot of coaching changes, which has caused some trouble on the team, but overall, players and my teammates have stayed very positive throughout the entire thing, whether it's been an assistant coach or even head coaches. I think that's always been something that we've done, is we play for each other, not necessarily who the coach is or what the coaching staff is doing. Especially that NE10 season when we won the championship, it was more of like, we're going to do this and win for our seniors and win for our team, rather than what was happening behind the scenes. Going into my sophomore year when we won the NE10, the year before we had done okay, better than they had done in the past in the NE10. We finished, I think, 14-3 maybe, so we lost a couple of games, but we were still doing better. And then going into that season, we were all really excited because we had a lot of our starters back. So there was a lot of like anticipation going into that year that we should do really well. And then during the season, we didn't do great, which was shocking. We were all kind of like confused at the end of the year when we were 8-8 and we went into the NE10 tournament in 7th place, I think, in the NE10, and then we ended up winning, which was super weird. But people were like really excited going into that weekend because they knew how much potential we had, and they knew that we had the capability to beat those teams. And once we beat Adelphi and kind of proved to ourselves that we were good enough to compete at that level and against those teams, I think people were really fired up going into playing Friday and Sunday against Lemoyne and New Haven.
Conference. For the first time, they are the queens of women's lacrosse in the NE10.
Going into last year as a first D1 season, it was kind of eye-opening to see how the level of play was different from D2 to D1. Definitely the teams we were playing against in D2, like Lemoyne and Adelphi, could keep up at a Division I level, but the other teams, like, the drop-off was much more significant. So playing against teams that didn't do great in D1 but were still a lot better than us was definitely something that we had to wrap our head around.
On behalf of the Northeast Council presidents and the entire NEC community, I am thrilled to be here today to officially welcome you to the Northeast Conference family.
Sit tight, volume 2, let me switch up the game. On the floor I fall back, step back cause I might put it on ya. I go deep, so deep, then I sweep so sweet. Cross the floor like a broom with my feet. You don't want me head to shoulder. Hop on the beam, flip it over. Wood up and toe up, show nothing. Ain't scared to take it all, misdemeanor, take it all. Tipsy and I feel good. Stop the track, put on your hoods.
Dr. Haley, I want to start with you. If you can just quickly go back a couple of weeks in terms of the cancellation of the NCAA tournament and ultimately all spring sports. What went into that specific decision?
The last year when COVID came and we ended our season, I just remember sitting in the locker room with our entire team, and at least 95% of the people were just like crying because it was just so bizarre. We had a game and then everyone was like, okay, like let's go home because we had like a long weekend, and then we came back and the next day the AD was like, yeah, we're done, and everyone was like, what is going on? And then by then people didn't really know what COVID was. Obviously everyone does now, but then it was kind of like, oh, it's just like the flu, like people are making this such a big deal when it's really not. And so to lose your season to something that you didn't know was a big deal at the time was upsetting and frustrating, but now obviously looking back, it was definitely the right move. Being able to play this season was really exciting, and it kind of brought back like the feelings of what happened last season when we lost last season, and it was, I like to use that as like motivation. Like every day when you go out to practice, it's like you don't know if it could be the last day because who knows what's going to happen. It's definitely hard having the pandemic and having to worry about that and practices, wearing masks and all of that, but I think we made the most of the season. We didn't really miss out on much or anything, which was really nice. First D1 season, first full D1 season though, we definitely have a lot of work to do.
My ladies in the place, y'all.